Dang, I got the 40-minute thing too. Oh man, that sucks. I did not know how to bypass it. But anywho, we gonna make it do what it do. Well, let me share my screen a little bit. There we are. Hey,
Awesome.
y'all. Can y'all see?
Yep. Yes.
All right, cool. How y'all doing today?
Good. I'm doing good.
That's good. That's good. Anything crazy happened today?
Oh my God, actually, yes. So I have a window right next to me, and the window you can see across. I think I've mentioned this before, and there's like a dog park, old-timey school across the street. Anyways, it's a big field. And lately, we've been realizing my dog has been like picking up his toy and like running away with it, like going to the shade, like he's done. Like he's telling us he's done, he doesn't want to play anymore. So there's
Mhm.
4 lanes plus a middle lane to cross, okay? And it can be heavy traffic. Tell me why my dog decided to pick up his toy and take it home, like bring it home and cross the street and go home. I hear my fiance yelling across the street, like, Brad, Brad. And I was like, oh my God. And I can't see. I can hear, but I can't see. And I was just like, okay, maybe he's just being crazy. Come to find out, he was like in the second lane. Thank God the car stopped and everything. And was just like, I'm trying to go home. I'm done with tired exo. I'm out. So that was what crazy happened today for me, at least.
Oh Lord, that
Mm.
that the dog really said, "Go home, Roger."
Right. It instantly made me like quickly think negatively. So I was just like, okay, he's here, it's fine. All of the what is really like ran through my head real quickly.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. So, uh, y'all know my name is Chris Harris. That's what I go by. And today we are talking about understanding depression, recognizing, understanding, and coping with depression. So, a little brief intro. Got my bachelor's degree from Ole Miss in psychology. Changed my major twice because biology and chemistry was clearly kicking my butt. So yeah, there's that. Got a minor in history with a concentration in African American studies. Um, my current occupation, I am a teacher assistant here in Shelby County Schools there at Riverwood Elementary. Fun times.
Mm.
Some of my hobbies, I do content creation, Young Bull Era Entertainment. That's the name of my YouTube channel. I'm also coming up with a podcast soon called the Easier Mind Podcast. Slowly getting that together. I like to play video games and love hosting tournaments as well. I have a upcoming tournament May 25th, and I will try my best to live stream it. So we can see the competition, we can see all what's going on. Some of my favorite music genres is hip hop, R&B, jazz, gospel. All right. So throughout all of these, we have talked about confidentiality and what it's supposed to mean to us. Um, so with this confidentiality, we also talk about the exceptions. So self-harm and harming someone is an exception. So if we talk about that and someone is talking about self-harm, we do have to report that. We, especially if also somebody is threatening someone else's life, that has to be reported. Um, Anything dealing with insurance, if like insurance company need private information, things like that. So say like during a real session, if you're doing that with a client, they need that information. Any mandated reports, such as child abuse and elderly abuse, that has to also be reported, and anything dealing with legal action. So if anybody is reprimanded or they ask for information in court, that has to be given out. So I know I didn't throw this in here, but we talked about no phones, not being rude during the time, making sure everybody has undivided attention, make sure everybody's on time for the meeting. But for an icebreaker, what are some of your hobbies?
I have a weird one.
All right, go
My
ahead.
hobby that I took up in the last year. I don't know if I've touched on this, so I'm gonna share with you so you can laugh because, I'm sure people will pick on you for video gaming. I can make it like I could take it up another level.
Oh,
I
let's
play
do it.
pinball now. Oh
Oh,
yeah. Pinball tournaments.
Oh,
it's
Oh,
fun.
nice.
Oh my gosh, so much fun. I have 5 pinball machines at my house right now.
Oh, really?
oh, that's dope.
There's a really
My
cool, like, historic pinball, like, place that you can go to up in Seattle here. It's like they all have all of the super old pinball machines, like hundreds of them. And you can,
That's so cool.
it's really fun.
And I prefer the older ones. Like I'm not as big into the newer ones, but we play like there's IFPA and I play Pinball League now. So on Sunday nights I play League and then on Tuesdays or Fridays I go do tournaments that are sanctioned so that I can get points so I could go to state if I wanted.
Oh, that's
My kids make so much fun of me and then I'm like, "Hey, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I'm just playing pinball."
That's what I'm talking about. So
How
you
bad can it
professional
be?
with it.
Yeah, right? There's my funny hobby for y'all.
Man, that's what's up. Grace, you got anything?
um, let's see. Lately, I know I mentioned I've gone to the gym, but really running has kind of been my hobby. Like I really need to implement some kind of running within my day or workout type of thing. I went earlier today outside for the first time thinking I could do it like I did it on the treadmill.
Hmm.
No, tapped out. Well, my knee tapped out before I did, but same thing, right?
Or
I was
certain
listening to
weekends, certain days, them
podcasters
knees be
today.
giving up.
It
There were
was given up.
there were podcaster days talking about doing it with VR, and they were like, "It's better indoors with VR than it is outdoors." I'm like,
Oh my God.
interesting. I think I
VR.
would fall and hurt myself.
Yes.
Nadia, do you have anything?
I have a million hobbies. I'm one of those crazy people that if I can get my hands on it, I will become obsessed with it. So like I've talked about the gym. I really love the gym, but I also recently got into leather restoration.
Mm.
Um, so we're actually this is my work desk, and so like I just have like millions and millions and millions of purse repair products scattered around me, which is what I was doing all day while listening to the textbook. So that's like my biggest hobby right now.
That's what's up,
One.
That's
man.
smart. Listening to the textbook.
Mm.
Yeah. I have a really hard time focusing sometimes, so having an audiobook in while I work with my hands helps a lot.
That's smart. I should try that for sure.
That is a dope strategy. Yeah, it really is. Well,
Oh,
man, y'all got some interesting hobbies. I thought I was interesting, but y'all, yeah, y'all got me beat. All right, moving forward. So let's talk about depression. So, what is depression? It's a here's a clear definition of it. It's a loss of interest for activities over a long period of time. Also, feeling of being unmotivated for anything or not having the energy for anything. So it can come from a prevalence and impact. The impact of depression can happen worldwide or is happening worldwide, especially with the current generation of what's going on in the day and age and stuff. A lot of people are having depression, or some people just say they have depression, but we're not going to take the chance and say somebody's faking it, so they make it. We always take it serious.
Mhm.
So, what is the importance of understanding and addressing depression? Can anybody answer that for me?
I think the importance of understanding it is to understand that it could be different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's like you and I, we've been great friends, and I've told you about my depression, and for whatever reason, it either like bumped it up a level of depression and I got worse. I feel like those little signs are important as well when addressing and understanding depression. When addressing depression, um, like you said, I think it is something that should be taken very serious and it's very important. I know a lot of people joke around like, oh my God, I'm depressed today, or like, oh my God, it's so ugly and depressing outside. And it's like, it's kind of true. I know for myself when I speak on things like that, it's like I too am also feeling a little depressed. And
Mhm.
so then I'll word it out there like, oh, the day's kind of gloomy or the day's kind of depressing. And I feel like those key words are kind of things that we should pay attention to with our friends and family because we don't know, maybe it is simple as the day is gloomy, or they're little hints for people trying to tell you like, hey, I'm going through something, or at least maybe a cry out in a way, maybe nothing too serious, but something to pay attention to.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely agree. Anybody else have anything?
I think probably the oversimplified is that we address it so it doesn't become something worse, whatever level it is at, that we want to make sure that if it's mild depression, it is dealt with, and if it's major depression, that it's dealt with.
Mhm.
Right, right.
Importance is to address it so it doesn't get worse and become something, you know.
Yep, I agree. So then it leads to this question. How do we know when we are going through depression?
Um, for me, I knew I think I'm expecting myself to go through depression at some point or really have severe because it does run in my family. But
Mhm.
for me specifically, when I know I'm going through some kind of phase or episode when I have no motivation to do anything. I don't want to go to the gym. Um, Mother Nature is coming. Just like I have a lack of motivation. Like I don't want to do anything at all. I have a sourpuss attitude, something's going on for me to know when I'm going through depression.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So a lot of things that we end up paying attention to by ourselves. And just like I stated earlier, we kind of lose interest in the things that we love doing most. Um, Anybody else got an answer for the question?
Oh gosh. Sorry, I'm having issues with my laptop. I
Yeah.
have one, and sorry, kind of like a trigger warning for this one. I personally struggle with depression pretty heavily. And one of the things that I know when it starts to get bad is that like the like suicidal ideation, where it's not like I don't have a plan, but I
Mhm.
start like telling myself, you're wasting other people's resources by being alive. Um,
Mm,
there are more worthy people of like being existing. And that's when I know that it's like starting to get really bad again.
yeah, that's wow. Well, to be honest with you, I can say, you're here for a reason. Everybody has their own reason. Everybody is a puzzle piece that fits in a great puzzle in a greater scheme of things. So nobody is really worthier than anybody else because everybody has a certain part they got to play. Everybody has a certain hand that they're dealt. You just got to know how to play that hand. There's always going to be somebody that's better than you in one area, but then you got to realize at the end of the day, there's not another you.
Mhm.
So sometimes we have to be able to conquer those thoughts when we're fighting through certain criteria in certain areas of that nature. But I will tell you this, you are special. You are very special. And I need you to realize it and not let the thoughts of like not feeling special defeat you. All right, let's move on. So there are different types of depression. First, we're starting off with major depressive disorder, which is MDD. There's also persistent depressive disorder. This is actually one of my first times hearing this one. This is if I can pronounce this, dysthymia.
Mm.
Is that right?
Sounded about right to me.
Gonna say that's first try.
In consensus, it
Um,
was right.
thank
Perfectly stated.
you. Thank you. I try hard. Bipolar disorder, which is changing from one mood to another within quick succession. So like somebody can be happy go lucky 1 minute, then they're pissed off the next minute, then they're sad the next minute. And that can be like one of the major symptoms. Seasonal affective disorder. So I know y'all have heard of seasonal depression or like even seasonal anxiety. Like because you went through a traumatic experience during a certain season. For example, if something traumatic happened to you during the fall, you start to experience depression during the fall, but then the rest of the seasons you're completely fine. Uh, Postpartum depression, which happens during and after pregnancy. And there are other specified and unspecified orders of depression. There are a lot of disorders out here, and we just got to pay attention to the signs. All right. And so we get to the symptoms. Speaking of depressed mood, when we start to lose interest or pleasure in certain things. Fatigue, loss of energy, not feeling motivated to do anything, not feeling motivated to even get out of the bed, you know, feeling worthless or guilt just because you exist or you feel like you're wasting people's time, as stated earlier. The changes in appetite or weight. Some people may eat more during this situation. Some people may eat less because they're experiencing either more or less of an appetite. Sleep disturbances. Your sleep schedule starts to become off, like kind of get confused on the time, and you either end up in bed or a lot more, or you sleep a lot less. Difficulty concentrating or making decisions, which is very common with depression. And finally, thoughts of suicide or death. Basically talking about suicidal ideation, and feeling like that maybe the world is better off without you. So then it leads me to this question. What do y'all feel like it takes to fight against the thoughts of depression?
Um, Honestly, that's a good question because I have no idea. Um, I don't even know kind of what works for me, honestly, at this point, because I kind of just like kind of soak in it and I just wait for like it to pass or like the day to be over with and okay, maybe I'll try again tomorrow. I kind
Yeah.
of like just allow it to like not overcome me, but absorb me a little bit. And I know sometimes it does result from a negative thought pattern. So replacing those negative thoughts for positive thoughts is kind of like how I try to fight against it if I do try to fight against it. Quite often I kind of don't. I just let it pass like a storm.
That's a good analogy. I like that. Anybody else have an answer to the question or have some idea?
Yeah. So I have what's called MDD. I have chronic MDD, which essentially just means that like my depression symptoms don't ever go away with no real like trigger or reason. Like 'cause, some people experience depression from PTSD or traumatic events that they go through, and some people it's just kind of like a constant state for them. So for myself, like the things that have helped me the most is that like you have to really fix the way that you kind of change the way that you think. Like we talk about instead of like it's like the idea of chronic positivity, but for like everything that happens instead of letting it eat you alive, you kind of try and think about like, is this a learning experience or is there some positive that came out of a bad mood or bad day? And then like another one is keeping yourself busy, because it's really easy when stuff starts to slow down that you kind of start to allow yourself to get mired down in everything that you're feeling. So,
Right.
yeah.
Nah, Nadia, that is a great answer, and I appreciate you for taking the time to answer that. Holly, did you have anything?
Um, my flippant answer is I seem to tend towards anxiety versus depression, so I don't have a lot around depression. Like I was the one that was so concerned about the potential for postpartum depression that I was like, I will be out. I will do this. I will be at the walking group with the moms, and I will be at the moms groups, and I will be everywhere, so that if something looks like I could potentially be depressed, then someone will notice.
Right.
And I didn't have any signs or symptoms, but instead I had anxiety.
And that's crazy because that's kind of my mindset right now, because I do plan on having kids soon, like within the next year or two. And since I already know depression runs in my family, I'm like, okay, I do not need, nor do I want postpartum. And I have a friend, well, his friend's wife's husband is close to him, so they're best friends. So we don't really talk or anything like that, but she has expressed to me what she has done during her postpartum depression. And it was basically her putting a pillow over her kid's face and like taking it off real quickly. And I'm like, yeah, no, I can't. I can't even think about doing that. I can't. And I know that that is what she's going through. And but I'm just like, okay, no, I can't. Like, I need to get everything I need to do, stay healthy physically wise, get my anxiety under control, and just kind of like focus really mentally and physically to become healthier. So it's kind of funny in a way because it's like you're doing all these positive things to make sure that we don't get postpartum depression. But for me, when it's like a seasonal depression, it's like, oh, I'll sit in it and I'll bask in the depression a little bit. And it's like, well, why can't I just have that same mindset and not have any kind of depression?
Mm, No, I understand.
That would be too easy.
It
Right.
would be.
Challenge myself.
Would not be a human.
Nah, but I will say this, random disclaimer. If anybody needs to just take a second and get off if this conversation is triggering, please just, hey, mute yourself, shut your camera off, give yourself a few minutes if you gotta take some time to get off and come back, do what you gotta do. I promise you I won't stop you and I will be understanding of how you feel. Um, but for me personally, what it takes to fight against depression, because boy, oh boy, I'm gonna say it again. Back in my youngin' days in college, uh, your boy went through anxiety and depression at the exact same time. Um, and that was a fight in itself because you're worried about not getting things done, but don't have the energy to get things done. Which was a constant battle. And like the main thing that I realized is because we talked about this in this anxiety and Grace's presentation is don't worry about the things that you cannot control. And just like Nania stated earlier, it's all about your mindset and perception in the situation. Um, Once I stopped trying to fight the battles that I knew were not meant for me to fight. And I started changing my outlook, which was not easy in any way. I started noticing it kind of diminishing within myself and started taking more actions and started kind of being myself again instead of being a shell of what I used to be. So it's not easy, but the necessary steps are there. And plus, like I said last time, I had my village of people to talk to. I had a great circle around me who were understanding and were willing to take in information and help me at any possible point. So make sure you just had that village around you.
Mhm.
All right. How much time we got on the for the Zoom?
The timer. I don't
It hasn't
see
given us a
the.
countdown, has it?
No, it hasn't given us a countdown yet, but maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure it just cut off out of nowhere. So we got like 10, 5 minutes when it says it. Please let me know.
Okay.
All right. So here are some causes and risk factors to depression. There are biological factors, which can consist of genetics. So it can be genetically passed down through either parent or even grandparents or further back. And brain chemistry. So the wrong hormones can also cause depression. For the psychological factors, any form of trauma, stress, and personality traits that we may have also can be equivocal to the depression that we end up going through. Environmental factors, life events. So say people grow up poor, they grow up without a lot of things. Oh, there you go.
Oh, 9:55.
Yep, there you go. All right. Growing up without a lot of things, or growing up in a rural place, or just in having a socio-economic status, so growing up poor, just like I was stating. A lot of risk factors is family history, gender, age, and chronic illness. Try to move this along just a bit. So here are some diagnoses and assessments. So the diagnostic criteria can be for depression can be found in the DSM-5. Now, I'm gonna just go ahead and say this. I do not fully agree with the DSM-5 because of the simple fact that it's kind of like if you don't have every one of those symptoms that's listed under the disorder, they treat it like you don't have it.
Wow.
So yeah,
Interesting.
I don't always agree with it. So there are also screening tools and different assessments that I forgot to look up and actually tell you, so I can provide that information. My apologies.
No, it's good. It's a good
Also,
thought.
my fault. Seeking professional help or seeking counseling to get a accurate diagnosis. So basically going to a therapist, talking about your problems and being tested for it to see if you are diagnosed with depression at any point. Y'all ready for TED Talk?
Let's do it. Wait, how long is it? Because you may run out of time.
Yeah, it's okay. So
How
here's
long?
what we're gonna do. We are going to take a break. And when we come back, we will watch the TED Talk because TED Talk's about 16, 17 minutes. Everybody cool? So we will be back here at it is currently 7:28. So we just gonna round it up to 7:30. We'll be back here about 7:45. Is that cool with everybody?
Yeah, that works. I was way off on that timer.
Yeah.
So 7:45.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You doing a good
All
job, Chris.
all righty. See y'all then.
Sounds good.